That's right. Donald Trump Jr. had a meeting, and Cohen got paid back, and Jared Kushner in the meeting with the fake Russian, whatever she was, doing her presentation, he got bored in the meeting and said, "Can you please get me out of this meeting? I'm bored." Now, if that's not high crimes and misdemeanors, I don't know what is. I mean, first of all, the fact that Jared Kushner was in a meeting and he wanted to get out of it. Ever been in a meeting you want to get out of? Boring. So he texts his secretary to call him. Okay, all of a sudden, my opinion of Jared Kushner has gone up dramatically. It was high before, now it's higher. He texts the secretary, he says, "Please get me out of this meeting. Call me so I can get the hell out. Like, I want to get a Coke, or I got to get out. This thing is boring me to tears. I don't want to be rude. So just like call me and, put it on high ring." Great to have you here in the John Fredericks Radio Network. Too much fun for one man to have. Sidney Powell coming up, though. That's going to be a lot of fun because we got all kinds of high crimes and misdemeanors going. Yes, that's right. This just leaked out. President Trump last night, eating a peanut butter sandwich, asked for marmalade. That's right. He put marmalade on a peanut butter sandwich. High crimes and misdemeanors, according to Tom Steyer. You can't do that. We don't put marmalade on peanut butter. It's gross. You put jam on peanut butter. Not the president. He puts marmalade. High crimes and misdemeanors. Very bad. Very bad. Joining me now, Sidney Powell. Sidney is a senior policy advisor for America First Policy. She's also author of one of the greatest books ever written, one of the exposés on an out-of-control prosecutorial justice department in the U.S. called License to Lie. Now, how do you get the book? Well, here's what I did. I went to licensetolie.com. Why go to Amazon? First of all, they screw around with you. Second of all, I'm not giving any more money to Bezos if I don't have to. I really go to licensetolie.com to get the book right there. Plus, you save money. Plus, they ship it out. Plus, here's what's going to happen. This is what happened to me. And my wife, same thing. Mirror image. So I get the book. I open it up. I'm like, this is a big book. Like, I'm going to have to read this like over the summer. Something like that. When I'm at the beach. This book is big. So, I'm sitting there and I open it up and I read the preface. Okay, I was okay. And then I read the first 2 pages. And darn it if I couldn't put it down. And then I'm trying to find it and my wife's got it. I'm like, give me my book back. So we had to fight over it. Joining us now, Sidney Powell. Go to licensetolie.com. She's with us, America First Policy Senior Advisor. Sidney, always a pleasure to have you on.
Good morning, John. Always a pleasure to be with you.
I do the best promo of your book because I'm a fan.
You do?
See,
yeah.
Well, because when you're a fan, it's easy, right? Other people just read the script they get. Me, I put my heart and soul in it because it's a great book. Now, this is a banner day. Mueller 1-year anniversary on the witch hunt, and $1 million a week, 40 lawyers. How many lawyers he's got in there? 25 lawyers. 22 of them gave money to Clinton. And what do they have to show for it? Okay, Stormy Daniels, and what else? Somebody had a meeting, and Kushner wanted to get out of the meeting. Wow, I tell you what, man, the whole thing is crumbling down. Come on, Sidney, what are they doing?
Well, that Russian lawyer that had the meeting in Trump Tower met with the Fusion GPS people before the meeting and after the meeting. People tend to forget that, but that's been proved so far. So the whole thing was a setup from the get-go, from every direction, and it's just so offensive to any notion of the rule of law and what our system of justice is supposed to be about. But it does reveal the systemic, pervasive, and intentional misconduct that's been going on within the FBI and the Department of Justice for years, as found by the special prosecutor who Judge Sullivan in D.C. appointed to investigate the Department of Justice after the corrupted prosecution of Senator Ted Stevens. So this isn't new, but it's gotten worse. And to think they can do it against the President of the United States tells people just how completely out of control the Justice Department and system in this country is. So imagine what they do to the rest of Americans. We have 25% of the country now with criminal convictions on their record, criminal records.
25%?
Yeah, 25% of Americans have a criminal record.
Oh my goodness, that's
we're over prosecuting, we're over criminalizing. Congress has made too many crimes, and then on top of that, aggressive prosecutors will piece together parts of different statutes to make up crimes out of things that aren't, and it just goes on and on. The government is trying to control people by criminal prosecutions and targeting the people they want to target to shut them up. In fact, there's the former congressman who went after Lois Lerner and tried to have her held in contempt, just got convicted in Houston on 23 counts, including money laundering, which is ridiculous because it wasn't drug money or dirty money to begin with, but they piled on as many counts as they could pile on for supposed election law violations. That's a whole other area that's been over-criminalized and over-prosecuted and used to target people. That's why it exists. We need to rethink our election law thing. And the judge remanded that man to custody immediately upon his conviction. He didn't even get to stay out of jail until sentencing, so she put him in on a judgment that isn't final, so he couldn't talk, and raise money for his defense. His defense fund is defendapatriot.com. It was Congressman Steve Stockman. I mean, this is going on everywhere, and it was one of the last indictments filed by the Obama administration.
What did Stockman do?
They're claiming election law violations and money laundering with respect to a nonprofit that he had, and as to whether certain materials contained political advocacy or not. I mean, I haven't even read the indictment, but the charges just sound absolutely ridiculous. What I find so appalling is that she remanded him to custody immediately, claiming he's a flight risk. Bill Cosby, who raped women, is out on bond until his sentencing and may very well be on bond pending appeal. It's, the double standard is beyond the pale.
Why do they do this? I mean, let's put that in the box for a second. Let's get to the Mueller investigation. Sidney Powell, 12 months in, how many lawyers do they have? 25, I think, right? Something like that?
At least 20.
All right, so they got
count.
Over 20 lawyers. They're spending $1 million a week, 1 year, right? And by the way, they have unlimited resources. What evidence do they have so far?
We don't even know how much they're spending. Congress can't even find out how much they're spending.
Well, it's been estimated to be over $1 million a week, but you're right. It could be twice that. No one knows. So here's my question. 1 year in, what do they have? What evidence what have they come up with after a year?
Nothing with respect to the original scope of the investigation. They've gone along and drummed up other things, like the false statement charges against Michael Flynn and poor George Papadopoulos, who had no idea what he was walking into. Mm-hmm. And, I've got articles on the Daily Caller. I've got a new one out yesterday or day before wondering if Comey's been granted immunity because he's parading all over the country saying whatever he wants to say, even if it contradicts his sworn testimony to Congress. And, Mueller and Comey go way back. I'm just really concerned that that's exactly what's happened there. He's very cavalier and nonchalant about his whole role in everything.
So he might have gotten a deal, right?
Yeah, he may have gotten a deal. He provided his memos to Mueller very early on. I wonder if he even provided them to him before he left the FBI. I can hardly wait for the report of the Inspector General. My only concern there is that Mr. Mueller could have kept things from him because Mueller's criminal prosecution could have foreclosed his access to certain things or criminal investigation. It's just mind-boggling.
We're with Sidney Powell. She's a senior policy advisor with America First Policies. That is the number one political action super PAC for the president's agenda, supporting the president's America First agenda. Sidney, let's get to a couple things here. Rudy Giuliani yesterday popping off on TV again. This guy just can't keep his mouth shut. One way or the other, though, he says, look, he talked to Mueller. President can't get indicted. If he can't get indicted, he can't be subpoenaed. And so it's going to be up to Congress once a report is done. Do you have any idea what he was saying?
Yes, there are two Justice Department memos crossing political administrations saying a sitting president cannot be indicted. And it makes sense then that if he can't be indicted, he really couldn't be compelled to comply with a subpoena. So then that leaves the only option of Mueller writing some kind of report that tries to incriminate him otherwise to give rise to an impeachment process. But I don't see that happening either, because it requires the House of Representatives to issue an indictment, basically, and then the Senate to try the case. And it requires a 2/3 vote, I think, and it's just not going to, I don't see that happening either.
Is it going to happen? I mean, even if the Democrats wrested control of the House in the midterms and they ran on impeachment, I don't know what they're going to impeach him on, but even if the House passed it, there's no way on earth you're going to get 2/3 of the Senate. The guy didn't do anything. So this whole thing is so ridiculous, it's beyond the pale. Let's get to the Senate intel. The Senate intel report, they don't say anything about collusion, but like the House, they say, look, the Russians meddled in the election. They bought Facebook ads and went on Twitter and responded to newspaper letters and did things of that nature. They spent about $150,000, which you spend in basically a city council race now on the internet, if it's a big town. So big deal. But then they say, well, the difference here is we have evidence that suggests that the Russians wanted Trump to win. Okay, well, Mexico wanted Clinton to win. Israel wanted Trump to win. France wanted Clinton to win. I mean, what does this have to do with anything?
It makes no difference whatsoever. The whole thing is an incredibly expensive and ridiculous tempest in a teapot / witch hunt / creeps on a mission to destroy the president, which reminds me, I have a new website, creepsonamission.com, where you can get the T-shirt to show exactly what you think of the Mueller investigation.
Creeps on a mission. I love it. What about the creepy lawyer for Stormy Daniels?
Oh, God. That's a whole nother episode.
The creepy hooker lawyer.
He is a piece of work.
He knows how to get earned media, though. He's been on, what they say, that he's been on CNN like 150 times, an average of 2 times a day over the last 2.5 months. That's pretty good.
Wow.
I got to hand it to him. The guy knows how to get free
actual
media.
Lawyer to be spending that much time on television.
Creepy lawyer. Creepy lawyer. All right, so what do you think of this? The president puts in his financial disclosure that he paid Michael Cohen back somewhere between $100,000 and $250,000. Obviously, that's for the Stormy Daniels payoff, whatever you want to call it, the silencer fee, which, by the way, in companies is done all the time for any number of reasons.
Congress has its own slush fund of unnamed recipients of money for that.
I know, right? That's right. We forgot about that. The Congress slush fund, they got their own money to pay off people, and they don't want it disclosed.
They use taxpayer money to do it.
Unbelievable. I forgot about that. I mean, so, look, is that a campaign violation or not?
I am not an expert in campaign law. It is a whole different quagmire that I think should actually be converted into civil penalties instead of criminal ones for the most part, because it takes legal experts in campaign law to do anything now, and makes it hard for people to run for office, and it makes it easy for the government to target whoever they want to target. So that whole area of law needs to be changed. I don't think it is, but I should give you that disclaimer to begin with.
All right. So, again, I'm going to get back to the question. The law right now is what it is. So the president, on his financial disclosure, he says, okay, I paid an extra $100,000 to $250,000 to Michael Cohen. I paid this money. We assume that was for the Stormy Daniels silencer money. But it's gray whether that's a campaign violation. Giuliani says it's not. The people that were the jurors for John Edwards on a similar case, they couldn't reach a verdict. That got thrown out with a hung jury. So my question is there a law broke, and does it even matter?
I don't think there is a law broken, and I don't think it matters.
Right, so it just doesn't matter.
No.
At the end of the day. All right, so they have the $130,000 payment to the pornographic actress. what about this meeting at Trump Tower? Now, tell us about that. That's the big story today, that there's evidence that they released a transcript of the meeting, and Jared Kushner said, "Get me out of it. I'm falling asleep. It's not interesting." And Donald Trump Jr. got antsy because they were expecting dirt on Clinton, and they got some presentation for change in policy. Frame that for us.
Well, first of all, you have to remember that this Russian lawyer met with Fusion GPS people before she went into Trump Tower, and then she met with Fusion GPS people when she came out of Trump Tower. So it was set up from the get-go, essentially to try to entrap or create some sort of problem for the Trump campaign folks. And apparently it succeeded in doing that just by virtue of its existence. What was released by the Senate Intel Committee are transcripts of interviews and testimony about the meeting, not a transcript of the meeting itself, because there wasn't one. So it's their testimony of different people who were present for the meeting and whatever it is they can remember of it among the 50 million meetings and 50 million things that were going on in the Trump campaign at the time and in their businesses. So, again, it is a bunch of nothing.
So the bottom line here, Sidney Powell, is after 1 year, unlimited amount of money spent, 25 lawyer investigators, the majority of which I think there's 23, 20 of the 23 donated to either Clinton or the Democrats. All this money, all this effort, all this time, and they really have come up with absolutely nothing. Is that my understanding?
That's your understanding. Absolutely no evidence of the president doing anything wrong or his campaign doing anything wrong.
What do you think of the allegation now that the president made that there might have been a spy in the campaign? What do you think of that?
That could be one of two things. If the FBI did that, it would be even more egregious than some of their other egregious conduct, including getting the phony FISA applications made and getting that kind of surveillance on the Trump campaign. That was an outrageous violation of the law, but they did that anyway. So this would be even worse than that. The other possibility is that the whole spy is a lie, and they were using that sort of misdirection as an effort to corroborate what they claimed in the dossier anyway, and it wasn't true. I mean, who knows with these people, because they lie about everything.
It's a sad state of affairs, no question about it. And this is a witch hunt with no witch. This is just an effort to drive this president from office at all costs. I'm out of time. I want to thank Sidney Powell for being with us. Go to License to Lie, buy her book. It's great. Senior Advisor, America First Policies. Sidney,
and check
great
out
to have you.
creepsonamission.com.
Creeps on... I can't even say that, Sidney, without laughing. Creeps on a mission. Creepsonamission.com. Buy the T-shirt.
You're going to love it, John. So will
I'm
your
going to that
listeners.
site as soon as I get to the top of the hour news. I hope you got a triple X for me, because I'm a big guy, but I'm going to order creepsonamission.com. Thanks for being with us.
I've just ordered some, and I'll be putting up the larger sizes on the site for people to order.
Yeah, put up the big sizes for us big guys. Creepsonamission.com.